A lot of people have asked me how easy or difficult it is to transition into barefoot shoes and how I would actually do it safely. Well, I am not an expert, nor am I a doctor, but you know who might be an expert on stuff like these? ChatGPT. So today I'm going to ask ChatGPT how to transition safely into barefoot shoes, and we're going to react to them. Hey ChatGPT, can you give me the top 5 tips for transitioning safely into barefoot shoes? All right, here we go. Transitioning barefoot shoes can be an exciting journey for those looking to improve their foot health and overall comfort. Here are 5 tips to help you transition safely into wearing barefoot shoes. Number 1, start slow. Transitioning to barefoot shoes requires your feet to adapt to a different way of walking and running. Begin by wearing for short durations, 30 minutes to an hour initially. Gradually increase the time you spend wearing them to allow your feet to adjust. So for me personally, I didn't follow this advice and I think I ended up fine, but some caveats. One is I have been walking barefoot around the house my whole life. I actually know some people who don't do that, so that might be a bit of a transition. And 2, when I started wearing barefoot shoes, I was mostly using it as an everyday casual / lifestyle shoe and not as an exercise shoe. And I think this tip is more for people who are using it as an exercise shoe. For me, when I was using them, I was just using it, say, to commute to the office. Maybe that's like a 10-minute walk, train ride, another 10-minute walk, and then short bursts of walking around the office to get water or get food, and then a commute back home. So nothing too crazy my first few weeks, and I think that still fit the tip of only wearing it for short durations. So for me, that meant that I didn't have to actually transition into barefoot shoes and then wear other shoes. I just went all in, but I wasn't doing anything super strenuous. It's not like I would just rush in and do a 10-kilometer run, because I can't even do that right now, even pre-barefoot shoes. Number 2, focus on form. Barefoot shoes encourage a more natural gait and foot strike. Pay attention to your form while wearing barefoot shoes and try to land on the balls of your feet rather than the heels. Allow your feet to flex and move naturally as you walk or run to avoid overstriding. I agree that the form needs to improve, but you might find that this comes more naturally than you think. Because of how the barefoot shoes are shaped, like it's 0 drop, very minimal cushioning, and very flexible, I actually did not find that I had to consciously transition my form. It sort of just happened naturally because heel striking in these shoes are painful as hell. So your body quickly adapts to it, but maybe that's just me. I did hear other people had a similar experience when they transitioned though. But definitely, like, form's gonna be a big thing. If you continue heel striking or running the old way and you're putting the same mileage on you, you'll definitely get injured. Number 3, strengthen your feet. Wearing barefoot shoes can help strengthen the muscles in your feet and lower legs, but it's also important to incorporate foot strengthening exercises like toe curls, foot numbing, calf raises. I think this depends on where you're coming from. For me, because I was already used to walking around the house barefoot, and I was just comparing like how my feet looked compared to other people who were starting out. I think my feet were already decently strong, like my toes were decently strong, so I didn't need to do this. But again, everyone starts from a different place. Number 4, take care of your feet. Be mindful of any discomfort or pain during the transition. It's normal to experience some soreness or muscle fatigue. If you feel sharp pain or discomfort that persists, listen, everybody, give yourself enough time to adapt. So I agree with this one. I definitely found that the first few weeks I needed to spend a lot of time massaging the balls of my feet. Especially the balls of my feet were really sore and felt like I had knots in them for some reason. So that's why for me, because I had different types of barefoot shoes, I had these like super thin ones, but I also had some more cushioned ones like my Lem's Primal Pursuits. That was a bit easier because I could alternate between them. And if I felt that my feet were really sore and needed a bit more cushioning, I could switch to the more cushioned shoe. And then gradually my feet just adapted, and now I can, walk a decent distance with my very thin Vivo Barefoots, and they're fine. Number 5, gradual terrain changes. As you transition to barefoot shoes, be mindful of the terrain. Start on flat, even surfaces and gradually introduce more varied terrain such as grass, sand, or gravel to challenge and strengthen your feet and lower legs. I'm not sure I agree with this one as a tip, because when I was initially starting out, the pavement actually felt the most painful, and grass or sand felt the easiest naturally you're going to be used to shoes with cushion. If you take that cushion away, you are hitting a very hard flat surface repeatedly, and that is actually a lot more painful to me than walking on grass or even walking on gravel, because at least with gravel there's a bit of give, and I think it's actually the hard pavement that really challenges your feet when you're not used to it. So I'm not sure about number 5 actually. I mean, I agree that you'll want to switch things up in terms of terrain, but I don't agree with the reason that they're telling us, which is that it introduces more challenge. I actually think that it's easier to walk on varied terrain, and when I'm in an extended walk on barefoot shoes, even up to now, if it's a particularly long walk, I try to actually seek grass and gravel and get off the pavement if I want to give my feet a break. So I don't know, what do you think about this tip? Okay, lastly, everyone's transition to barefoot shoes is different, and it may take some time for your feet and body to fully adjust. Be patient, give yourself time. If you have any concerns or questions, it's always a good idea to consult with a healthcare professional or a podiatrist for personalized advice. Now, maybe not a good idea, but I did not see a doctor, but definitely if you have more complicated foot issues, go see a doctor. This is not for everybody. I do wonder though if like a mainstream podiatrist would actually just dismiss this idea outright and just recommend like some really thick orthotics. Are you a barefoot shoe enthusiast, and have you tried seeking advice from mainstream podiatrists? What did they say? I'm actually curious. These tips all make sense, albeit they're a bit generic, but they all sort of just focus on starting slow, focusing on your form, and then just listening to your body basically, right? Which I think is pretty solid advice. Like, there's not much more that you can do other than just taking it slowly and just understanding that transitioning into barefoot shoes is going to be a different story for everyone. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you want to see me ask ChatGPT any more barefoot shoe questions, let me know down in the comments below. And hey, if it's your first time here, go look at my video where I talked about my transition into barefoot shoes right here.